All right, you still with me? It is a pretty busy, packed news night. The pressure on the former president, meanwhile, is not simply legal. There's also wider questions after all this about the future of the Republican Party, which has faced electorally two disappointing election results in a row, saddled by Trump and his MAGA kind of politics. And many are eyeing a Trump-style Republican for this next GOP primary, Ron DeSantis. But some of the Republican Party's brightest stars have been heartland conservatives. Take the governor of the key state of Ohio, John Kasich, viewed as a leader on domestic policy, criminal justice reform, a Republican who also took on Trump in that first 2016 race.
I beat Hillary Clinton by more than anybody, by 11 points. And the reason it happens...
In one poll. In one poll.
The debates are the dumbest thing going because...
You can't get things done when all you're doing is yelling and screaming at people and dividing people.
I believe the political parties are disintegrating before our very eyes.
You wrote me off in the South, then you wrote me off in Super Tuesday. And let me just tell you this, I will win Ohio.
Big news from the critical state of Ohio. ABC News can project that Governor John Kasich has defeated Donald Trump in his home state.
In America, conservatism should mean not only that some rise with conservative principles, but everybody has a chance to rise.
That's a view of conservatism from the governor, John Kasich. He's my special guest right now. And I'll remind folks he knows the whole terrain pretty well right now. Served as a congressman for close to 2 decades, knowing many of the people who've come up into these leadership and chairperson positions. He's a 2-term governor, as mentioned. And the way many non-political junkies learned about him, of course, that presidential run. The former presidential candidate, governor, and congressman joins us now for his Beat debut and in his new role as an MSNBC analyst. Governor, there's an old saying, you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with us. And we appreciate that, Governor. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I was listening, Ari, to the circus, and I can't even say it's a circus. It's 3 or 4 ring circus, from what I can tell as I listen to you. As the head of the big top, you know? Yeah. It's amazing.
Okay. Well, I like the way you put it. I imagine we'll get to that. We've been on some of that for the hour. Before we get over to that story, I did want to get your views on what we might call conservatism in America right now. As noted, you've been a leader. There's more than just one part of the party or the loudest part of the party. Where do you see it headed as we begin these conversations?
You know, Ari, I think right now, I can't figure out what the party stands for, you know, and they have not been able to put out ideas that are a growing set of ideas. You know, how do you grow the party? How do you project hope? You know, look, when we think about Donald Trump, we think about what I call negative populist. Okay, that's somebody who says the reason why you're not doing well is somebody else took your stuff.
Sure.
I've considered myself to be a positive populist, you know, which is, hey, you've got problems. We're going to sit down together and we're going to figure them out. And so the party really doesn't have the reform positions. And there's some positions we ought to stick to. We shouldn't be raising taxes every time we turn around. There's too much regulation at time. We could talk about Silicon Valley Bank anytime you want to, but sometimes regulations will kill. You know, the fact of the matter is that spending is out of control. But there's other issues that are really critical. In order to understand them, you have to listen to people. The rising cost of health care, the rising cost of prescription drugs. What are we going to do about the border? What are we going to do about immigration? What are we going to do about trade? What are we going to do about military reform? But I don't hear the party out there talking about any of the solutions. Most of what they do today is to criticize. And so I think the party would be better off if, in fact, they could clearly talk about what they are for. And Ari, you know, right now on this issue of the debt ceiling and everybody's waiting for their budget, you don't write a budget in 5 minutes. I mean, I spent many decades working on understanding how government works. You just don't throw something out there and think it's going to stick, because you get yourself in more trouble if you don't consider exactly what the impact is on people, who's it going to hurt, who's it going to help. The party right now is just adrift, and perhaps it'll get fixed. I don't know.
Do you feel the incentives have drastically changed? I mean, we look at students of politics, you say there's always been this and that, right? There's a financial pressure. There's the way the media works. But when we even see who seems to be emerging in the House, we all followed that speaker's race for McCarthy. We saw what a couple members could do. You were there a long time working with people more. I mean, refresh my memory if I'm wrong. I don't remember you Matt Gatesing it on the House floor. Go ahead.
No, Ari, at the time, what I had suggested is that there be a coalition of Republicans and Democrats who would be able to marginalize the extremists on both sides. So you could begin to govern from the middle. I put out 2 tweets about that, and I think I had literally 9 million impressions once that tweet went out. And it's just bizarre what's happened down there. Large part is Republicans. But I've got a question for you. Why didn't the Democrats get together with the moderate Republicans and elect a speaker? They didn't do it. One other observation I want to make, Ari, that's interesting. You know, both in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they're not in charge. What's happened in American politics today is these special interest groups, many of whom raise money and dark money. People don't know who it is that's given the money. These are the groups that have so much influence. And we hear about, for example, the Club for Growth or the Koch brothers, and there's the Democrat Leadership Committee, whatever it is. Those folks are the ones that are really calling the tune, unfortunately. The political parties have been largely neutered in this country. And so you have these special interest groups, very narrow in some cases, special interest groups, who are the ones that fund these political campaigns. We don't really know all the people that are contributing to them, and we wonder why there's so much division between both parties.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on multiple issues, both structural, systemic, polarized politics that are important. We do have a flashback for you just from when you did something that, frankly, doesn't happen a lot. And I don't say this on the woe is Trump thing. I mean, just on the broader conversation we're having. As I understand it, you'll tell us, you looked at the choices and said, people know what a strong conservative Republican you've been throughout your life and your voting record and all that. But this is what you said when you were looking down the pike at the choice in 2020.
We're being taken down the wrong road by a president who is pitted one against the other. I'm a lifelong Republican, but that attachment holds second place to my responsibility to my country. That's why I've chosen to appear at this convention. I know that Joe Biden, with his experience and his wisdom and his decency, can bring us together to help us find that better way.
Was that a hard call? Did you get a lot of pushback? Do you stand by it?
Oh, yeah, you get pushed. I mean, look, I was in politics, Ari, to try to make a difference, honestly. The party's always been my vehicle, never my master. And by the way, yeah, I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm a reformer. Remember, sure. I'm the first Republican to have expanded Medicaid because I knew that it would help 600,000 people in my state. I've been involved in so many issues that are designed to help people, and involved in the issues of crime and community and law enforcement and reform and gun reform, all of it. And so always thinking about how we could make things a little bit better and give everybody a chance. Was it a hard call? No, because I thought Donald Trump was really dividing the country and creating this negative populism that, again, pits one person against another. But I have to also tell you, I don't think that Joe Biden has done a very good job in bringing us together. And I think sometimes he's been trapped in doing that. And a best example of that was the infrastructure package. When it passed in the Senate, he then came out and he said, well, you know, we're going to have to get rid of a lot of stuff. And in the House, I'm not going to, you know, forget the Republicans in the House. That was a mistake. There are many places where they could have worked together, and some places where they have. I don't think he's done enough of that. And so I've been disappointed. But, you know, I don't regret what I did because I didn't think that I thought Trump was really understatement to say not in the best interests of our country.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I appreciate your thoughts on all of that. So we've been talking about the elephant, as it were. Now we could talk about the elephant in the room, which you called the circus. It's a full circus analogy for everyone. When you look at these probes, do you think there should practically be a higher bar because it's a former president? Do you have concern about overreach of the prosecutor's offices, which we've heard about? Or at this point, with this many real pieces of evidence against the former President Trump, are you comfortable if and when a prosecutor finds evidence to charge, which at least we're hearing about, the president very infamously predicting it this weekend?
Well, you know, it seems to me, Ari, I'm not a lawyer, and maybe that's why I kept getting reelected, but you are, and you're a very effective lawyer, okay? Look, I just think you got to let things fall, you know, where they fall. And the idea that Republicans now are trying to attack this district attorney in New York, I don't like that. Let the process play out. Because I wouldn't want to see Democrats investigating some Republican DA or investigating Clarence Thomas or whatever. We got this judiciary is really important, and so I get concerned about that. Let it go the way it should go. There's one issue, Ari, that I think we need to think about. that we sometimes miss. We say all these Trump people, a lot of people say they're crazy and everything else. Maybe we ought to stop doing that. Maybe we ought to try to figure out why these people are so upset and why they are so angry and why they find fault with institutions in the country that they think is not being fair to them. And we need to think about that. And then how do we bring them back into the fold? 70 million people voted for Donald Trump the last time. Think about that. So, my sense is let's listen to them and let's give them hope. And the candidate that can beat Trump in the primary, if it can be done, is going to be somebody who can give people hope that tomorrow can be a better day. And that person, I don't think, has emerged yet.
Yeah, and you're not seeing that, at least in the current choices. Super interesting. Governor John Kasich, we announced tonight on The Beat you are now an MSNBC analyst. Welcome to the family. Thank you for making your first appearance on The Beat, sir.
I was glad to do it, Ari. I've been waiting to do it, and we got it done.
We got it done.
Thank you.
We could build from here. Thank you, Governor. I'll see you again.
Yes, we'll see it again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.